Have you ever looked around and realized the people who used to be such a big part of your life just aren't there anymore? Maybe it was your morning coffee buddy from the neighborhood, or a friend you used to travel with, or even someone who always remembered to call on your birthday. Over time, those regular check-ins become less frequent. The gatherings shrink. And slowly, the silence grows louder. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. In fact, many people in their 60s and beyond go through this phase, and no one really prepares you for it. Losing friends isn't just about death, though that's part of it. Sometimes people move, get busy with grandchildren, fall into poor health, or simply drift away. And each time that happens, it leaves a little space in your heart that once was filled with laughter, connection, and shared history. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? One day you wake up and realize your social world has gotten a bit quieter. Not necessarily lonelier, but definitely quieter. And for some, that silence can feel like loss. It can even turn into sadness or confusion. But here's the thing, this chapter of life, just like every other, comes with both challenges and incredible opportunities. And even though friends might disappear, your joy, your peace, your purpose, they don't have to. Today, I want to talk to you, heart to heart, about what to do when friends start fading from your life. We're going to look at how to cope with that emptiness, and more importantly, how to thrive through it. Because your 60s, 70s, and beyond aren't meant to be years of isolation. They're a time when you deserve more connection, not less, even if it looks different than before. Let's begin with something gentle but essential, honoring the grief that comes with these changes. Sometimes we don't realize we're grieving because we associate grief only with death. But friendship loss, whether sudden or slow, carries its own kind of mourning. Maybe you had someone you spoke to every week for 30 years, and now the number just rings and rings. Or maybe you once had a full calendar of social events, and now the days feel more open, but not in the freeing way. It's okay to feel sad about that. It's okay to miss what was. You don't have to pretend like it doesn't hurt just because that's life. Give yourself space to remember the good times. Look at old photos, revisit shared memories, even cry if you need to. Because acknowledging that pain helps you move through it, instead of carrying it around quietly. But here's the second thing, and it's just as important, not every friend who drifts away is meant to be part of your next chapter. That may sound harsh, but it's not meant to be. It's simply life evolving. People come into our world for seasons and reasons. Some are meant to stay for the long haul, and some teach us what they needed to, and then their role is complete. You're allowed to let go without bitterness. You're allowed to accept change without feeling like you've failed or been forgotten. It doesn't mean those friendships weren't real. It just means life moves, and so do people. Sometimes you outgrow each other. Sometimes your paths just naturally go different ways. And when you stop fighting that reality, you open your heart to what's next. So what does what's next look like? It starts by turning inward a little. Because now is a powerful time to deepen your relationship with yourself. That may sound a bit cliché, but really think about it. You've spent so many years taking care of others, showing up for work, helping family, attending events, doing what was expected. But who are you underneath all of that? What lights you up now? What gives you energy today? This is a golden opportunity to rediscover what brings you peace, excitement, curiosity, outside of anyone else. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's journaling. Maybe it's sitting quietly with a cup of tea and just watching the birds. Whatever it is, find those small rituals that feed your spirit. Because the stronger your inner world becomes, the less reliant you'll feel on outer approval or constant companionship. That doesn't mean isolating yourself. In fact, the opposite. Once you start to feel full from within, you'll naturally begin to attract the right kind of connection again. The kind that's based not on history or habit, but on mutual presence and authenticity. And that leads us to something truly beautiful, creating space for new kinds of friendships. Yes, even after 60. Especially after 60. You're not too old to make new friends. That's a myth. You're not too stuck in your ways to meet new people. That's another myth. In fact, now that you're more yourself than you've ever been, you might be more ready than ever to connect from a place that's honest and open. But before we get there, before we talk about finding new friendships or building new bonds, we need to take one more step inward. And that step is learning to feel at peace even in the quiet moments. Because true peace doesn't come from having a full social calendar. It comes from knowing you are enough, just as you are, whether the phone rings or not. Let's talk about how to build that peace from the inside out. If you're still watching and feel that these insights are meaningful, please type number 2 in the comments to let me know you're still with me. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you to do so, and don't forget to turn on the bell, so you won't miss any of our upcoming videos designed to uplift, inform, and inspire. Your support truly means a lot. It's what keeps us going and allows us to continue sharing thoughtful, helpful content just for you. Now, let's continue this journey together. Let's talk about that quiet space, the one that often shows up after the phone stops ringing as much, after the invitations slow down, after a familiar face at the community center stops showing up. That space can feel unsettling at first. It can even feel like a void. But within that space lies one of the greatest gifts of later life, the chance to truly come home to yourself. See, when we're younger, our lives are often filled with noise, responsibilities, errands, social obligations, family events. Sometimes we barely get a moment to think, let alone reflect. But in this stage of life, something changes. Time slows a little. You get more space. And instead of trying to fill every gap with people or plans, it becomes an invitation to reconnect with your inner world. That might sound a little abstract, so let me put it another way. Think of yourself like a garden. For many years, that garden was full of visitors, people coming and going, planting their ideas, their stories, their needs into your soil. It made your garden vibrant and diverse, but maybe also crowded. Now, some of those visitors have gone. And suddenly there's more room again. Room for you to plant your own seeds. To choose what grows next. Maybe it's time to try that painting class you always wanted. Or take long walks without rushing. Or read books you never had time for. These aren't just hobbies, they're doorways back to your own curiosity. They're small acts of joy that don't depend on anyone else. And as simple as they seem, they remind you that your life is still full of possibility. But let's also be honest, reconnecting with yourself doesn't replace the very real need for human connection. We are social creatures, no matter our age. And it's completely natural to miss that feeling of being seen, understood, or simply sitting next to someone who gets you without needing to say a word. That's why the next step is opening yourself up to new connections. Not trying to recreate old friendships or replace what was, but allowing space for something new to grow. That might mean talking to someone at your local coffee shop or signing up for a workshop that interests you. It might even mean starting conversations online. There are amazing communities out there, full of people in the same stage of life, looking for connection and kindness just like you. And yes, I know, it's not always easy. Starting over socially can feel awkward or intimidating, especially if you've been hurt before or if you've grown used to keeping to yourself. But here's a gentle truth, courage doesn't always look like bold moves or big steps. Sometimes it's just saying hello when you'd normally stay quiet. Sometimes it's sitting next to someone new at a class, even if your heart is beating a little faster. These tiny acts of courage add up. They begin to open doors. And when you start showing up with your true self, not a version of you shaped by pleasing others or trying to fit in, the people who are meant for you will notice. They'll recognize the light in you. They'll respond to your presence, not just your personality. And that's when something real can begin. Still, even with new opportunities, you may feel waves of loneliness now and then. That's part of being human. Loneliness isn't always about being physically alone. Sometimes it's about feeling emotionally disconnected. The key is not to judge yourself for it. Not to see it as a weakness. But instead, to treat it like a signal, a little whisper from your heart saying, I need connection right now. When you hear that whisper, answer it with compassion. Call someone. Write a letter. Join a local group. Or simply sit with yourself and breathe deeply, remembering that you're not broken. You're just human. And this moment, just like the others, will pass. One of the most powerful things you can do at this stage in life is to redefine what friendship means to you. Maybe it used to mean constant contact, weekly visits, or long vacations together. And maybe now, it's a kind word from a neighbor, a warm smile from the librarian, or a shared laugh with someone at the grocery store. These small moments are still connection. They still matter. You don't need a dozen best friends to feel supported. Sometimes one or two genuine relationships are more nourishing than a full calendar. And sometimes, the most important friendship you'll ever cultivate is the one you build with yourself. As you begin to shift your focus inward and outward, nurturing your inner peace and making space for fresh connections, something surprising happens. You begin to feel more grounded. Less desperate for things to return to how they were. More present for how things are now. And that, my friend, is where true contentment lives. Because it's not about pretending that change doesn't hurt. It's about learning to find meaning in the change. To grow through it. To understand that you are not just surviving this stage of life, you are learning how to thrive in it. Let's explore one final and deeply powerful way to do just that. Let's pause for a moment and talk about something we don't always say out loud, the grief that can come with losing friends. Sometimes it's sudden, like someone moving away or passing unexpectedly. Other times it's more subtle, a longtime friend stops calling, or the dynamic quietly fades until one day you realize it's been years. And when that happens, especially after 60, it can leave you feeling invisible, even unimportant. But here's something to remember, your worth is not measured by how many people you have around you. Your worth is something deeper, something internal. And when friendships disappear, it doesn't mean you've failed or that you're unlovable, it simply means your life, like all living things, is evolving. That evolution makes space for healing, for rediscovery, and for a renewed sense of self-respect. One of the most powerful things you can do to thrive during this chapter is to practice acceptance, not passive resignation, but an active, loving acceptance. That means acknowledging your feelings without shame. If you feel sad, say it out loud. If you're lonely, admit it to yourself. There is strength in honesty. And through that truth, you begin to find clarity, the kind of clarity that helps you decide what kind of life you want to create from here. See, your 60s and beyond are not a winding down, they're a refining. This is the time to release the need for constant approval or busy social calendars. It's a time to go deeper, not wider. To prioritize quality over quantity. Instead of asking, why don't I have more friends, maybe the better question is, am I being the kind of friend I want to have? Are you being kind to yourself? Are you creating a life that feels good even when you're alone? And speaking of that, learning to enjoy your own company is a powerful way to reclaim your peace. This isn't about isolation. It's about finding fulfillment without always depending on others to give it to you. Imagine waking up, making your favorite tea, sitting in your favorite chair, and feeling truly content in that quiet space. No one to entertain. No one to impress. Just you, present, peaceful, whole. That kind of solitude is different from loneliness. It's rooted in self-respect. It's built on the idea that you are enough as you are, without needing to perform, please, or prove yourself. And the more you cultivate that kind of self-relationship, the more magnetic you become to others. People are drawn to those who radiate calm, confidence, and authenticity. Another way to strengthen your inner peace is through service. When you feel disconnected or sad, one of the quickest paths to healing is giving. Not giving to please or to earn approval, but giving from a place of abundance. Volunteer at the library. Help someone with their groceries. Send a card to someone going through a hard time. These small acts aren't just kind, they remind you of your own value. They anchor you in purpose. And the beautiful part? Acts of service often lead to unexpected relationships. You start showing up in new places. You meet people you wouldn't have met otherwise. You form connections based on shared values, not just shared history. And sometimes, those turn into the most meaningful friendships of all. It's also okay to grieve what's been lost. To take a walk down memory lane. Look at old photos. Laugh about the good times. Let a few tears fall if they need to. That kind of release is healthy. But don't stay there too long. Because life is still happening now. And there's still beauty to be found in this present moment. Try new things. Be curious. Keep growing. Whether it's a new hobby, a new community, or even just a new routine, these changes help you write the next chapter instead of staying stuck in the last one. Growth doesn't stop with age. If anything, it gets more meaningful. And maybe most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Some days will feel full and joyful. Others might feel quiet or heavy. That's okay. You're not doing anything wrong. Life after 60 is rich with contrast, light and shadow, laughter and longing. The key is to keep showing up. Keep choosing kindness. Keep listening to that quiet, wise voice inside you that says, I'm still here. I still matter. I still have something beautiful to give. And you do. You truly do. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone else who might need to hear it today. Leave a comment and let us know what part of this touched your heart. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, not because we need numbers, but because this is a place where your story, your voice, and your heart are always welcome. Let's keep growing, healing, and living together. Here's to finding peace, even when friends fade. And here's to becoming your own best friend, at any age. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video and how you plan to apply it in your life. Your insights mean a lot to us and give us the motivation to keep spreading positivity and practical advice. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you care about. Your support truly helps us continue creating meaningful content that informs, inspires, and uplifts. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.